Well, it looks like some things could actually be moving in the background for Nintendo, and a lot of this has to do with some of these live trade show events coming back in full force, with Gamescom just wrapping up. And now we're starting to hear about some rumors that Nintendo was active behind closed doors, maybe even showing off their new system that we kind of expect to be coming out next year. But I will admit, some of the language used with this message that was put out does have people believing that we could actually see that system here really soon. But I wanted to go over that here today. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here to the SpawnWave Plus channel. So we have basically a message that's now gone out discussing the idea that Nintendo has showcased their next system behind closed doors at Gamescom to certain parties. And I asked Nate about this a bit, kind of like, hey, are you going to go over this on the Game and Talk show, which is, of course, over on the Spawncast network. If you have not checked it out, I fully recommend it. It'll be up later this week, actually, early for members. And this seemed like a good topic for him to discuss because he's pretty aware of different things, obviously, that are going on in the background, as you see him in many, many reports as Nate Drake and all of this, right? So I had asked him, but he already posted stuff up anyway, publicly, it looked like, on different forums about what maybe was off about the tweet in question, which we can see posted up here by Zac Corden over on Windows Central, who did have a lot to report on at Gamescom, as he got to try out all kinds of different games and stuff. But typically he'll report on Microsoft stuff for Windows or for Xbox, right? Those are the two platforms he mostly covers at Windows Central. So I'll admit it was a little odd to see him tweet something out about Nintendo with their next system, but again, he was at Gamescom, and people do talk, of course, at these trade shows, where he said, heard some rumors recently Nintendo maybe showed or maybe discussed the new Switch behind closed doors to select press and devs at Gamescom. Full reveal leaks may be relatively imminent. So the situation here, obviously, is when Nintendo decides to show it to the press, then things are definitely in motion, because even Nintendo has to know that once the press gets word of this, that there is a chance. And typically, from what we've seen, especially with Starfield recently, there's a chance that leaks are going to get out there, information is going to get out there that they don't want publicly available yet. Now, the issue with this tweet that was put up by Jez, as Nate started to really go over on I think it was on Fan Boards, and I think maybe Reset Era as well, but no press was actually shown the new system or discussed with Nintendo, nothing like that. And it kind of falls back on what you would expect a trade show like this to accomplish, and that's in person, behind closed doors, no chance of an email chain or something getting out there by accident or sometimes on purpose, right? It's a very controlled environment where, sure, you could show up with a locked briefcase, open it up, and there's the prototype for the next system, or you have just confidential documents that you kind of go over, again, in a controlled environment that you know isn't going to necessarily leave that room. And you can have them, of course, sign NDAs, all kinds of stuff to keep this locked down. But when the press gets involved, yeah, then it's more or less, okay, this thing is going to get announced here pretty soon. And the issue with that is I don't see a scenario for Nintendo to announce this new system at all this year. Like, this holiday seems set up pretty well for them right now, with Tears of the Kingdom getting its first shot at the holiday season, as well as Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and then you have Super Mario RPG. And I'm sure they'll sell Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, another 1 million+ copies, no sweat, during that holiday quarter. And the Switch has not really slowed down as much as you would expect in places like Japan. It is slowing down somewhat in the US, but for the most part, they're kind of on cruise control right now with the system, and even having something like a new 2D Mario, which is going to do very, very well, especially after that Mario movie. I don't really know why they would just gonna throw out a new system and say, hey, take a look at this, when they're still selling a ton of software, which is where they're making a lot of their money. However, it does make sense for Nintendo to discuss their next system at trade shows like this with developers and publishers signed under heavy NDA. So in this case, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that did happen and Jez did hear about this, but maybe conflating something like the press and devs together like that, it doesn't make a ton of sense. And it might just be him kind of saying, hey, I've heard that people have seen this thing or discussed it with Nintendo, and there was a lot of press there. So maybe the press, maybe devs. And that's why he's edited the tweet multiple times to kind of throw in that reasonable doubt one way or the other. So I see this already circulating heavily. People wondering if that means that the announcement is imminent, and I would not count on that. I would look more towards developers getting some more information so that they can have their games prepared either for launch or maybe in the first year or two, even with how long these dev cycles take for the system itself. I also want to point out now that this is starting to circulate again quite heavily online. You probably will see more of those Nintendo Focus leaks get out there. I think 4chan, as an example, just anonymous forums where things can be posted, will get quite busy with all kinds of new nicknames and stuff for Nintendo's next system. And I would just be very skeptical of a lot of these different leaks popping up online. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below, and maybe you do believe that press saw it and that we're gonna see this thing get announced ahead of even Nintendo Live, big event that Nintendo is holding out west. Or maybe you think, yes, developers just saw it at a trade show because that's typically what happens, and I guess at Tokyo Game Show, Nintendo might make the rounds once again. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.